to the Choice, Change and Action podcast, where you get to choose, change and take action to create a different today and a different future. These are my stories of choice, change and action, along with the phenomenal guests I have on here. From a really young age, I've always desired to create a change in the world. The planet has been a constant inspiration to me, and Access Consciousness has shown me the tools to know that anything is possible. And I keep choosing. What are you going to choose? Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Choice, Change and Action podcast. So you are with me, your host, Simone Milasas. And if you're listening to us on Spotify, don't forget you can go over to YouTube and you can watch us there and the playlist we have of all the podcasts. You can also follow us on Instagram. We have our own Instagram handle, Choice, Change and Action. And today I have, I'd say, someone very special to me today. It's Amanda Erlank, who funnily enough, I'm really sorry. I just found out what your last name is. I've known you for years, but I call you Amanda Pilates, which is so bad. I'm so sorry about that. Amanda, welcome.
Thank you. A lot of people call me Amanda Pilates, so don't worry.
Well, I have a very good friend of mine too, who is, but I hate that, trying to define someone in a box, but at least they know, like a lot of people know you and they know Amanda Fuchs, who does massage. So I go, oh, Amanda Massage, Amanda Pilates. So anyway, you are so much more than Amanda Pilates, and that is what we are about to discover. So just a little bit of background is Amanda does own a business here called Connected and in Perugian Beach. And I was actually flying home one day and I just was asking my body what it required, like what next. And I know Shannon O'Hara, who Amanda also knows Shannon O'Hara and has worked with her. And I'd heard Shannon talk about Pilates and I knew nothing about Pilates. I really didn't. And I was on this plane on the way home and I saw like it was something in a magazine or something just like flipped, grabbed my awareness, and it was about Pilates. And I went, oh, I think I'm going to go check out that Pilates studio that Shannon had recommended. And I remember the first time I met you, I love the way you don't just assume that people know something. You ask them questions, and you asked me what, with no point of view, no judgment. You weren't like, I wasn't trying to get it right or anything. You were like, hey, what do you know about Pilates? And I remember looking at you going, I think it's a lot about stretching and, then you're like, okay. And you got me to do some of the most basic moves. But I love that you did that. You didn't have this expectation or projection that I could do X, Y, Z. For me, you were so gentle yet engaging with my body and inviting it to a possibility. And you still do that. I mean, you said the other day I've been doing Pilates for 6 years. I have no idea. Like I was like, okay, 6 years, we'll go with that. And you still, I walk into the studio and you look at me and you don't think, oh, she did this last week, so she's going to be able to do this week. You go, hey, how you doing? I love that you do that. And I love that you always invite me to be totally open and vulnerable in your studio. And I mean, even I remember at one stage when I was, my relationship was breaking up and I went to Pilates and you went, hey, how you doing? I was like, yeah, great. And I sat down on the floor with my roller and just burst out crying. And you were just like, okay, this is the space for this, and you just let me lie on the floor and bawl my eyes out. Like, I feel like I've been through a lot with you, not just as my Pilates instructor. And like I said, you are so much more than a Pilates instructor. And that's sort of what I would like to talk to you about today. So thank you for being here. And first of all, I think my question is, because you have such a dynamic capacity with bodies, can you talk us through, like, when were you first interested in bodies? What sparked that?
It's a really interesting question. I would have to say at the age of 15, I went and did my very first massage course. My mother and I went to a private person and did about a 6-week course with her. And I remember the woman who was teaching us just said to me, you have something here that is unteachable. And I was like, really? Because I can feel stuff, but I didn't know how to express that. And then I just carried on being interested in the body from then on. As a kid, I was a little dancer. I did modern dancing. It was the way of expressing my body. Other girls were playing netball and hockey and tennis and all that kind of stuff, but dancing was for me. So when I had to stop dancing because we moved away from somewhere, I felt like really lost in myself, and I didn't know how to do anything with myself anymore. And then I'm fast forwarding a few years after that. And when I found Pilates, I thought, oh my gosh, I found my dance again, because I was able to explore my body. The style of Pilates that I first learned was not prescriptive. It wasn't the same routine each time. And that's what I really needed, because there are forms where you go in and you do the same repertoire all the time. I get so bored with that kind of a thing. So yeah, I think just being able to be free and expressive in your body is what's important. That's why I always ask clients when they come through, is like, how's your body today? Because it's sure as heck not going to feel like it did yesterday.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many different elements that create how you are. Did you sleep well? Have you got some, pressure going on? Like you said to me the other day too, which I always enjoy your honesty with me, because you're not trying to project something upon me. You're actually empowering me and inviting me to something different. And, we talk about stress, right? We talk about stress in this reality. And you have asked me before about being stressed. And I look at it and I go, I'm not stressed, because I'm not stressed as far as most people would define stressed as. And the other day you said, I haven't told you this. You said to me so briefly, you said, Simone, you're not stressed. Like, you don't stress about money, as an example. You don't stress about, how to pay the rent. But you do have stress, like the amount you travel and the amount you do all of that. Like, it puts a stress on the body. So it's not me waking up in the morning and going, oh my God, and freaking out. But yeah, there is this stress that I have put on my body. And at the last couple of weeks, I've I've had to really explore a different possibility with that, and really flip the script on how I can be with my body and have that relaxation. And you are such a gift with that. I'm just so incredibly grateful for what you have been for me and my body. And I know so many bodies out there as well. So,
well, I want to say the same back to you. You say this all the time, there's a contribution that happens, and you are as much of a contribution to me as I am to you. And that's what makes our sessions so powerful, because, we just come both from just a place of what is possible, and it just creates on its own. And sometimes when I work with Shannon as well, like, those sessions are just mind blowing, because neither of us know what's about to happen. And we're both like going, what just happened in that session? But when you first came to the studio, I'll never forget. It was, I think you'd come to your second session already, and you're like, you got to do an app. And I freaked out. I was like, what do you mean do an app? I'm not going to put myself out there. I'm just struggling to do an Instagram account right now. I'm not going to put myself out. Anyway, so you encourage me to do things too, which is really cool. And I think that's what makes for a very good therapeutic relationship, where, everyone's bringing something to the party.
yeah. I was telling someone the other day, and we're going to have these in the show notes too. You can find, because Amanda is in Phrygian Beach, but she is accessible worldwide by many different means. And she has this she has lots of them, but the one I've been doing at the moment is this playlist of these really simple moves with the body, but oh so powerful and potent. And I was telling Amanda, our friend who is a massage therapist, Amanda Massage. See, that's why I do it, Amanda Massage. I was telling her, and she goes, that's so funny. She said, I walked in to see her the other day and went, you should have a YouTube channel. And she went, I do. And I went, I know, but it's not out there enough. And it's like, because it's freaking brilliant. So I'm really going to ask all of you listening to this too, go find Amanda on her YouTube playlist and start playing with some of the stuff that she has there. It's incredible. Like the way you encourage bodies to move. And I want to touch on what you just said about when you have sessions, like say with Shannon or myself, because you go, we don't know where this is going to go. And can you talk a little bit about that, and about how you would, I guess, recommend, suggest, invite people to be with their bodies, from not trying to find this result, but like that, where is this going to go?
Yeah, well, I think it starts with, access consciousness is huge on this anyway, but like, it's awareness, right? If you want to make change, you can't make change unless you know where you're at. And the first way to be where you're at is to notice what's happening. So sometimes we start that just with like breathing, right? That's an easy way to connect to yourself. Another way to think about it is if you we don't have to do it now, but if you just closed your eyes for 1 minute and didn't think about another thing except your body, could you feel the temperature? Could you feel the textures? Could you see the rhythm of your breathing? Could you feel your kidneys doing the things that they're doing? You know, that is really detailed information if you don't know anything about the body, but just maybe feeling the sensations of hot and cold, or are you swaying forward, backward? It's what we call interoception, which means you have a connection to your own body. Funny enough, we're living in a world at the moment where we're very out of that. We're disassociated from our body. It comes from many things, our lifestyles, and particularly the way we're going with technology. You know, it's taking us further and further away from ourselves. So, as you say, I never have an expectation of what a session is going to be like. I know there are plenty of people that plan sessions out, and that's okay. But as I said in the beginning, like, if you're in a studio where I've got other people working with me and I don't have access to the machine I want to put you on, I've got to find a different way to work with you. And if you suddenly, in the moment, do something, you're like, oh, that didn't work well for me, I've got to shift what I'm doing. So it's about being adaptable as well. And I think that just is a lesson with life, isn't it? If we keep going down this fixed path of having a certain belief or a certain way, you lose out on so much of the fun, because what else is possible?
Yeah, and fun, big factor. And I'm looking at that recently as well, is like really putting that joy and the humor and the fun and the happiness in my life with everything I'm choosing, like enjoying my choices. You know, I mean, before we started here, Amanda just asked me how my body was too, because I've had some stuff go on with it, and, you know, ended up in hospital a couple of weeks ago by an ambulance, very dramatic, you know, and, but it's giving me so much awareness. And the other day I was talking to Amanda about something, and she goes, I went, I can do that. And she went, no, just do this. And I went, why? And she goes, because I know how you are. And she goes, don't go climb Mount Coolum, right? Which is a hike near here. And I went, that is so funny you say that, because I was thinking this week, I'll go climb Mount Coolum and then I'll go to Noosa and I'll climb up there, and just so I can start this. And she was like, no, she goes, start with flat surfaces. And it was such a gift that you gave my body, because as you said it, I could perceive my body relax into it and go, oh yeah, okay, start with flat surfaces. So I even this week have been walking, and it really, like, it takes me 15 minutes to get to this national park, Emu National Park. And it's not a very big hill, you know, but usually I would go there and go straight to the top, you know. And I found these other paths that are all flat and they walk around and stuff. And I've been doing that and just asking my body and going, okay, body, how long would you like to walk for? You show me when you want to turn around. And I'm hearing it and doing that. And yesterday I actually went to the top, but not from force, not from push, from this is fun, this is joyful, this is like just such a great, you know, exploration of my body and me. So yeah, it's been so amazing. I'm so grateful. I want to use an example. The other day in the session I came with you, and I walked in and you said, hey, how are you doing? And I said, I'm good, but I'm fragile. And, you know, I just was, I'm going to say, like, emotional about a lot of stuff, like just big changes. You didn't make any comments. You didn't, whatever. And then you got me to do this movement. And this movement entailed having my hands down and then having my hands like up in the air, right? With holding onto this bar. And you said, how do you feel now? And I smiled and I went, in control. And you said, you're smiling. And I went, yeah. So can you explain what that is and how that works?
So when you take your arms up into the air like that and you've got energy racing through the arms, it's what they call a power pose, right? So you've got length, your center of gravity rises, your muscles and fascia all are being stretched, and your feet are down on the ground, or if you're lying on your back, whatever it is, when those arms are above you, it gives you a sense of elongation. Now, if I said elongation in the body means the spine getting longer, I want you to take it further than that and think of the energy of your body coming out of the crown of your head, going up even higher. You can go to whatever source feels right for you, but it's this amazing source of energy that pulls out of you. Do you want me to give you the example of what I said with the emotions with that?
Go for it, yeah.
So when we take our arms up and overhead like this, and anyone who's watching, you can do it as well.
Yeah.
Say, I feel terrible. And really
I feel
mean,
terrible.
I'm having
I
the
feel
worst
terrible.
time.
I feel terrible.
Yeah, I hate this podcast. Why on earth am I doing this right now? You know, you feel how your body just absolutely rejects that statement and that emotion, because it's like, that's ridiculous. You're smiling, you're laughing because you can feel it's an absolute lie, because you cannot be in a state of depression or anxiety when your arms are up in the air like that. If we did the opposite and we collapsed our posture and we rounded ourselves like this and we said, oh, I am having the best day of my life. This is just awesome. Like, can you also feel how that just goes?
It feels like a lie too.
Yeah, you know, we've got like 30 trillion cells in our body and they're going, no, that doesn't match. So our postures really connect to our emotions. So, you know, knowing where you've come over the last few weeks in your injury, to put you into that position where you were supported by the table, but then to get you supported into that position with a bar taking you there rather than you having to do it, was just a way of expressing to your body again that actually I am safe. I am in control. I do have this. I am healing. But there are so many positives that are happening from this experience, because we can often, as a human race, get really sucked into what we call negative thinking. It's the most powerful imagery that we have, because you say to anyone, how are you? Oh, I'm shit. You know, God, I'm so busy. I don't know what I'm doing with myself. Or, oh, I've got to fly off here and then I'm going to fly off there. Or, you know, the kids are doing this or that, or I'm fighting with my husband, or whatever it may be. It's very rare that you hear somebody say, I'm amazing. You know, like people stop in their tracks. They're like, what do you mean you're amazing? I'm like, well, I'm breathing, I'm walking, I'm living, I'm smiling, I'm interacting, I'm drinking my favorite chai, or whatever it may be. People don't come to that conclusion so quickly. So I really, in what I do a lot, is I very rarely focus on negative things. So even if you come in with a situation where you're not in a good way, I'm not going to pretend that you're not feeling what you're feeling, but I'm always going to direct you in a way of, this can be better, or can we see the bright side of that? Because that's what your body thrives on. It heals at a higher vibration. So if you're thinking negative thoughts, your vibration is going down in megahertz. If you're thinking a positive thought or a gratitude thought, your cells are literally vibrating at like 15 megahertz more than their natural one. So the more you can do that, the better. And it doesn't take, you don't have to be, rich. You don't have to read a book. You don't have to be in an organization. You just go, like, what 3 things am I grateful for today? That's how I wake up every day before I do anything. 3 gratefuls. It's how I go to bed as well. 3 gratefuls. Sometimes they're the same things, but the more you can get into the pattern of saying these things, you start to be really aware of everything. So one more example, like, people think like, I don't know what to be grateful for, which is really challenging until you get into the rhythm. But every time I put petrol in my car, I go, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful. I've got a full tank of petrol that I can go anywhere I want, whenever I want. Like, that's just amazing.
Do you know what? I've always said that putting petrol in my car is boring. I'm like, it's boring. So I am renowned for my car getting to like the red light and then getting to like lowest of low, and then I'm like, God damn it, I have to go put petrol in my car. So now I'm going to flip that, and I'm going to start being super grateful that I can put petrol in my car. I love that.
If I can, let's just go on to the car analogy, because I think this is really important, because a lot of people, we were talking about bodies and how can you connect to your body, right? Or how are you aware of your body? If you have a car, I know you have a beautiful car, you got a brand new car. I think your car before was just as beautiful, but how well did you look after your car?
I would say way more than others. I still get it cleaned. Like I get it cleaned every second week, even when I'm not here, because I live so close to the beach with all the salt. So I'm like, yeah.
All right. And then when you put petrol in, what kind of petrol do you put in? What sort of level of grade? The best. Okay. Why do you put the best in?
Because I want it to run well.
And what happens if you scratch your car or you have a flat tire?
It's funny. I had a flat tire the other day because and I called this guy. He was so amazing and so took care of my car, and he changed the tire, and he was just phenomenal.
All right. So what if I said that car was your body?
Yeah.
Do you treat your body the same way you treat your car? Do you give it the
I shower more than I clean my car. Tick. Okay, so then do I put in my body? You know what? I'm pretty good at putting in my body good stuff and what it asks for. I will say what it asks for. But the piece that I get where you're getting to too is, which I'm currently looking at, is I would override my body. Like I would run it too fast, like not, have a relaxing drive. It would be more like, quick, we gotta go, like this. And that is what I get. My body personally has just then, almost slammed me against a wall to go, hey, you need to stop this and you need to find out what a different point of view. You need to, have that vulnerability and that relaxation with your body and choose something different. So I hear what you're saying, and I love that analogy because I see where I haven't been treating my body as well as what it's been asking me for.
So here comes the clincher, right? I said you just got a brand new car.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you get a brand new car?
Because it was fun. I don't know. I was just like, it was time.
Okay. Do you get to get a new body?
No.
So that's the deal. This is the body we have from day 1 to day 0, whatever day end.
Yeah.
But we do not treat our bodies the way we treat our material possessions. Because it's easy to go get another car or another phone, or oh, darn, I dropped this, or my fridge just banged out. I'll just go to get a new one, a new. But we don't get that opportunity with ourselves, which means if we can shift our paradigm of how we look after ourselves as our most important asset, we'll have longevity in our joints, in our muscles, in our in our fun time, in all the things that we love to do with our body and that our body loves to do for us. We have to really take care of it.
That's the key thing. I mean, I horse ride, and one of the things I notice with horses is horses like to look after you. Like that's their job, and they like to look after you. They don't want to fight you. They don't want to have conflict. They don't want to scare you. They desire to look after you. If you let them look after you, they will. If you avoid that and you refuse it, then they will do the freak out thing too and go, what are we scared of? What are we, and you'll have this ride that's horrible. But if you receive from them a really different ride and being totally present. So I have taken that into a lot of consideration too. It's the same thing with our bodies. Our bodies actually like to work with us, not against us.
100%.
And one of the another example too, which I love this, is because of what I found out recently, and some stuff going on with my spine due to the CT scan, and I know you know about this, is I was at Pilates at a session, and one of the basic moves in Pilates is called bridging, right? And a basic move of bridging is you're taught to roll your spine up. Okay, so roll your spine up, and as you're coming down, you're rolling your spine back down. I've always hated that. I've always I hate bridging, And it was so funny. I said to Amanda the other day, I've always hated that move. And she went, yeah, because your body didn't like it. I was like, oh my God, that is such a simple awareness. And she goes, from now on, you don't roll your spine, you stay neutral and you just go up and come down. I have been bridging every day and absolutely loving it because I'm doing it in a way that my body is enjoying it, and it's a contribution and it's congruent with the movement that it's asking for. And I was like, God, if you use that tool all the time, when you go, I don't like this, I don't like that, I don't like this, and I go, ask another question. Okay, body, would you like this movement in a different way, or would you like to have a different choice? Anything, but don't go to, as you said, like that negative and sit in that place of refusal or avoidance, or conclusion is probably what I'm going to say, is you go to the conclusion, I don't like it, so I'm just going to avoid it. No, ask another question. I love bridging now. I'll bridge all day.
I like to tell people, like, the messages that the body sends us, it's just in a different language, and it's our job to tune into what that language and frequency is, because it's only trying to help us. So people that are walking around with chronic neck or shoulder or back pain, Like they just put up with it. They're like, oh, that's the way it is. And I like to encourage people to say, no, try and learn the language of your body, because it is giving you information all day long. It's our job to sit in and listen, tune in, and do something about it.
That is so like how I would describe it as well. And I did a call, which you can get on my website. It's called The Gift of Pain. And I actually did that after I had an episode in London that was really similar to what just showed up the other day, because I had gained so much awareness from it. And like you said, so many people go, oh, my neck's sore. Oh, this is whatever. I'm always asking, okay, so what gift is this? What awareness is my body gifting me that I haven't been willing to acknowledge? And a tool that I use a lot, which Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, taught me years ago, and I love it because I think it's funny too, is being like, oh, body, I'm so grateful and I'm so sorry that I'm not as smart as you. Is there another way that you can give me this information, than this pain in my neck or however this is showing up? So start to engage in your body in a different way. So I absolutely love that there's nothing, and I think that there's nothing that your body like gives you and shows up that you can't handle and receive, but it's about being in communion with your body, not fighting against it. And I see the way you are with that and with bodies. You are a true healer of magnitude. That lady that you first met in the massage course when you were 15 years of age was absolutely correct. And I also love, you have been doing a few different courses lately. And when I come in and you're just like, you're so excited about, you just went to America and cut up a body and learn about all this stuff. And you're like, oh my goodness, this. And recently you've just been down in Sydney and you did a course on, I think, something to do with the brain capacity and how to deal with that. So what is it that you're interested in now that's like so firing you up?
Oh my gosh. I'm interested in
everything.
That's the problem, is like I came back from Sydney after being on a 4-day course on neurodevelopment of the brain and dealing specifically with autism, ADHD, dyslexia, OCD, all of the mental health issues, and specifically focusing with children, which is another funny story because I never thought I would work with children because it just didn't gel with me. And now they're like, oh, bring them to me. It's just, they're wonderful to work with because you can make such incredible change at such an early point in their life that will affect them, affect their family, affect their friends for entirety. Sometimes when I get clients that have been in their bodies for quite a while, it's not as easy to change them because, again, as I said, we've got these mindsets that's like, it's just too hard to do the thing that you want me to do right now, whereas kids are just super excited. So I came back from this course from Sydney and there was another whatever course pop up on my email, and I was like, started to put my credit card details in, and then I went, can you just stop and just consolidate the information you've just learned? So I think that's the problem, is like, I was once on a course and we had to introduce ourselves, and this guy introduced himself as, I'm a serial continuing education attendee. And it's hilarious because, when you have a passion about something, you just want to keep learning and learning.
Yeah.
So, sometimes people say to me, what are you going to do with the information you've learned? And I may not do a workshop on it right now, but, in 10 years' time, that information might come through for the person who needs it at the time. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's important, is also like having the access to whatever shows up for anyone. So, for example, the day that you mentioned when you were crying, like I feel like my space is such a gift because I allow people to express themselves, because stress holds in the body. Trauma is held in the cells. And if you keep it locked in, your body is going to contort and do things that it doesn't want to do, but it's because you're not letting it go. So when people cry, I mean, I've had hundreds of people cry in my studio and working in Pilates because there is an emotional release that can happen. And, my space is here for that. And I think it's so important to release it so that you can then go, okay, well, that's dealt with. Now we can work on what's going to show up this time. And yeah, I mean, whatever course I've done, or with you, for example, with your back, because I went and, I love how you say cut up a body. Yeah, I went and did a human dissection.
But you did.
You learn from a textbook The textbook is nothing. I have anatomy models in my studio all the time. I'm whipping out the pelvis or the spine, because when you can see and visualize, you actually have a deeper awareness to yourself.
Yeah.
If you're just going by someone saying, oh, this is your spine and touching the back of you, like that's the very last portion of your spine. You know, the spine lives in the center of the body. People aren't really aware of that. So yeah, because I have a deeper understanding of all the layers of the body, I can help you better. It doesn't mean that the person who doesn't have that next to me or, 3 blocks down isn't amazing at what they do. Like, we all have gifts and we all contribute. So I never get upset when, I lie, that's not true, but I don't take it too personally when another studio opens up close by, right? Because I think I can't service everyone in the world. That would be just too difficult, right? So the fact that there is another studio helping someone else who probably needs to go there is so great. The people that I need will come to me, and the people that I need will come to me, or that need me will come. So, you can't go into that state of being tight. If you're tight, you don't become flexible. That's why I start you always rolling and releasing before we move, so we can get good attention and then get to the good stuff.
Well, another question that you asked me, and if you're listening to this or watching this, I'd like to ask all of you as well, is what is it you're asking for with your body? And you asked me this, I don't know, it was probably like 3 years ago. And it was at the beginning of the year. And you said, what are you asking for with your body? And I remember going, and I was like rolling out in the studio, like on the roller. And I went, what am I asking for with my body? Because the immediate answer for me for so many years was to lose weight and change the shape of my body. But it was done from a judgment, and it was done from this, like this is what's got to happen, like this push and this force. And I realized, you know what, I got to give up this place of having to have my body, lose weight and change shape. And I went, what am I truly asking for? And I remember I took like a minute and I went, I'm asking for flexibility and strength. Because I'd also done one of those things where I, was getting off a chair and went, and I went, oh my God, I'm making old people noises. I don't want to make old people noises. I need to have strength and flexibility, So when I asked for strength and flexibility, you were like, okay, and started working with that. And ever since then, I have been working with that. And the interesting thing is, as I started working with strength and flexibility, I started to lose weight and shape and size of my body. Like, my calves used to be tight as, and now they're not. And I'm like, wow, this is so interesting to see. When I came off the force and the push, my body, just went, and relaxed and started to be what it would like to be. So, like, different reality. So, Amanda, as we finish up here, what are some of the things that you could like gift to someone to take away with their body today that they could just even do? Like, I love that you gave that, that 1 minute sort of meditation thing with your body. Is there anything else that you would like to offer people? So what they would like to have with their bodies?
My biggest thing for people is to appreciate their body. We all have that, I want to lose weight, I want to be a different size, I don't feel confident. It's usually women that feel that, of course. But start to look at your body in a different way and say all the things that you're grateful for. So I did an exercise once where I went through each section of my body. So with my head, then around my shoulders, my arms and my hands, my chest, my internal organs, my legs, blah, blah, blah. All the things that I loved about my body. And it's a huge thing to do, because if you don't love your body, that's a very confronting exercise to do. But if you take a look, if you are an observer of other people at your cafe, for example, and you just take a look at some of the people that are walking around, and maybe someone's in a wheelchair, or maybe someone's got a brace on their knee, or someone's got an arm in a sling, it will make you 100% aware of how grateful you are for your body. Because sometimes we need that outside perspective to be able to enjoy the internal perspective. So that would be my thing. If you start to appreciate what you have, you start to love yourself, you create a different frequency that emanates out of you, you then attract new and beautiful things toward you, and you will start to feel better. It's just freaking physics, to be honest.
It's physics. Put your hands up in the air Actually, do you know what? I was telling a friend about this, and she went, "Oh my God, you have a happiness movement." And I went, "Yep, that's what I'm calling it. It's the happiness movement. Hands up in the air, changes everything."
Yeah.
So, Amanda, thank you so much for being here. We're going to have all of how to get in contact with Amanda. Please follow her on Instagram, because one of the things that she did when she mentioned right at the beginning that, she was finding it hard enough to have an Instagram account. I love that she gave herself the home play of doing a video every single day, because she wasn't quote unquote comfortable with it. And man, her videos are phenomenal. So I highly recommend following her on Instagram. Go to the playlist YouTube. If you're in the Sunshine Coast, check her out at her studio. But I know that you also, I don't know if you do long distance sessions, you're advertising that. Yeah. I always think, does she have time? So do long distance sessions as well, but check that out. But just, what I'm inviting you to is to tap into the energy that Amanda invites your body to, because it's so beautiful and it's so brilliant. And I think that's what we should all have here on planet Earth. So anything else you want to mention before we go?
No, just thank you so much for inviting me to this. It's been great.
I am so grateful that I met you. So thank you for being Amanda Pilates in my world, and so much more. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram. And also, I have a 3-month membership coming up. It's called Hello Bodies, and it's about enjoying your body. You get a call with me every 2 weeks, and we have some energetic stuff that we'll be doing, and some private sessions and lots of different things. So that starts at the beginning of December. So if you'd like to check that out, please do. It will be in the show notes below as well. So, and wherever you are in the world, enjoy you and enjoy your body. Thank you so much for being here, Amanda. Bye-bye. If you enjoyed this podcast, please make sure to hit the follow or subscribe button on your favorite listening platform to get notified of new episodes. We read all the reviews, so if there's any topic you would like to hear about, let us know. If you'd like to know more about the tools, information, and classes mentioned in the podcast, head on over to SimoneMilasas.com and follow me on Instagram at Simone Milasas, or the podcast has its very own link on Instagram at Choice, Change, and Action. Don't forget, you can download the show notes, and lastly, have way too much fun today.